everybody. Welcome to In the Air with me, Nivedna Prabhu. You are, of course, staying tuned to CricTracker. We're, of course, talking everything to do with the England-India Test Series, and we are going to have our experts on the show. And in terms of all of you saying hello and already putting out your questions, fantastic to see that all of you are excited to be discussing everything to do with today's, match. Let me call on our first guest, Rakesh Deva Reddy, who's, of course, joining us once again in the studios. Hi, Rakesh. Welcome back. Let's first chat about the fact that what do you think is going to be happening today?
How we were discussing in the post day analysis in the last day, there are both the ways. Both the teams have chances, but it's 60-40. I would say 60 in favor of India and 40 in favor of England. But
Yeah.
yeah, India. It should be easy for India to chase that, which is the required runs are below 160, between 155 to 160. So it should be
Right.
fine. You have a settled batsman and you have a new batsman, Pujara, who can stand at one end nicely and anchor the innings. Rohit, who can score runs. So it should be easy, but at the same time, Indians should not take England bowlers very easy, because both the bowlers who have 1,000 wickets, both the fast bowlers, and Oli Robinson is also doing a wonderful job. It's just that Sam Curran is not being impressive with his fast bowling. But
Right.
England will also have chances, but India will have more chances, looking at the situations and the way how things are going for India.
Okay. In terms of course, Rakesh has given us that start to see what we can expect. To everybody who's tuned in, hello to everybody who has already asked your questions. I'm of course going to be taking that on once I call on our second guest. So let's call on our second guest, Pratyay Tiwari, who of course is a content creator. Hi, Pratyay. Welcome back on the show. What are you expecting? Are you of the same opinion that 60 in India's hand and 40 for England?
Well, I think it's now India's game to lose because 9 wickets in hands, 157 runs to chase. Weather permitting, of course, we keep on saying whenever we are playing in England, and we've been hearing that it's raining cats and dogs in Nottingham, and I think that we are in for a delayed start already. But it will be a massive shame if today is a washout, and if this game does not give us any result, it would be a real shame. I think that going forward in England, I think that what was adopted by the ICC in World Test Championship, you should start to probably have a reserve day for every game that you're playing in England, regardless of the context of the match, because rain is a definite when you're playing in England. So expecting that we will get all 90 overs of play possible, this should be India's game to lose. Unless they collapse, there is no chance that India cannot chase these runs in these many overs.
Right, of course. There are always two factors to keep in mind. One is the weather, and the other part being, that middle order not collapsing, or even for the fact that yesterday, there was expectation from KL Rahul to also up that performance in terms of whatever he showed in the first innings. That did not happen, which means that now the other batsmen, of course, have to step up, because Vedant Mishra has predicted that Pujara will score a 50. Now, whether he's going to do that or not, of course, we'll have to wait and watch. But on that note, let's take a quick look at what the weather forecast is for today. And I'll come to Rakesh, you about it in terms of, how that's going to be affecting the game today. Mostly cloudy is what it says. Could be a little bit of showers towards 11 p.m. IST.
It's really unpredictable weather in England. We cannot predict, because yesterday's weather report said that it is going to be thunderstorms, but we didn't even see a single drop of water in the ground. So you never know. You can't predict the weather in England, but let's hope the play will be there. At least for India to score the runs, if they can, at least if there is a play, at least 60 to 70 overs, even if the game cannot happen for 1 hour or maybe 1.5 hours, it should be fine for India. But if it is more than 3 4 hours, then things are going to be different. But let's hope the weather is going to be all right, and India can chase it very easily.
Well, there's a person called Changemaker who's asked, can we watch full match without interruption of rain? Wish we were the weather gods and we could have answered this for you. Even we don't know. We also have to wait and watch patiently. But of course, Rakesh has spoken about the weather conditions. Let's take a quick look at the scorecard in terms of where both the teams left yesterday. And Pratyay, I'll come to you in terms of performances. Like, I think Rakesh also pointed out that Stuart Broad and James Anderson could really, cause trouble for Team India. Also, that famous battle where Anderson could probably get Kohli out once again. But looking at the target that they have to chase, which is of course 157, do you think it's pretty smooth?
It's not going to be exactly smooth because, as I said, England is going to make it tough. They will give all that they have in their bowling unit and would try to restrict as much as they can, because this is the start of the series, and you would want to, if not lose, if not win, you would want that at least the scoreline remains on an even 0-all.
Yeah.
So I think they would try to do as much as they can to restrict a win. But given the fact that we have India has a lot of batting, and the kind of form Ravindra Jadeja showed, and then even the tail wagging, so there are certain positive signs. There would be a slight bit of worry in the middle order. You would not expect actually to call Pujara, Kohli, and Rahane a worry exactly, but that is how things
Yeah.
right now stand. And one thing that they will have to be cautious, like the delivery on which KL Rahul was dismissed. I mean, one of those deliveries will keep on coming in England, where you might be forced to play, and by the time you are able to make any adjustment, probably you would have edged it behind. And if someone does not drop the catch, you will have to walk out of the park. So I think delivery that he was really one that he could not probably have left a pitch of a delivery. So I think that as much runs as you can possibly score, trying to pray that you do not get that kind of a ball first up in the initial hours is the only thing and is the only way forward. But I guess that if yes, 60 or 70 overs, even if that much play is possible, I think that India should fancy every chance to chase this down than playing for a draw or losing out.
In terms of course, talking about the fact that if there's a possibility of a draw, Rakesh, क्या आप उसको वैसे view करते हैं? Because there's some comments about whether that's going to happen. Is there a
There are
possibility of a draw happening?
there are chances. It all depends on the weather. If the weather takes off at least three, I mean, if the rain takes off at least 3 or 4 hours of a game, or maybe 3 hours of game, then things might go in a different way. The plans might change for India as well, because but when it is washed out, the overs are going to be less, and the Indians have to have with a different plan, because they can't come and just look at, okay, if we have 60 overs or we have 50 overs, we have 160 runs to win or 159 or runs, so we have to be a little bit aggressive. Then the approach will be different, the plan will be different, the strategy will be different. England will also take a new strategy, so things might go different if the overs are going to be very less. I mean, it not just maybe 5 to 10 overs should not affect it, but if the play is going to be lost for 30 to 40 overs, yes, then things will definitely change. Both the teams,
Okay.
teams of both the plans, I mean, plans of both the teams are going to change.
Okay, so I hope for everybody who's asking that, especially a person called, we have a very interesting username, Movie Explained by DK Mehdi. The internet is quite an interesting place. So I hope that answers your question. And to everybody else also, Prem Kumar Kohli, you've also asked about in terms of rain. Yes, we did give the weather report a little earlier. But we hope for everybody who's asking about whether that's going to be affecting the result of the match. But on the other hand, Vedant Mishra says he's very confident that no, we're going to get a result. I mean, all of us are hoping for the same too. But Pratik, I'll come to you in terms of the batsmen, in terms of India's lineup, a little more. If it's not pressure, they definitely have to up their game in terms of Pujara and Rahane. The way even Rakesh did explain that wicket earlier in our previous sessions about how he had got out and things like that. So, do you think they've got to be more cautious about not losing wickets early?
Yes, definitely. Because if they have to chase, see, if you leave too many runs for your lower order, the thing is that when the lower order rear guard in the first innings, that time you were not chasing. That time you were not having that pressure of game being on the line, because now this inning is a decisive one. यहाँ पे अगर आप
Yeah.
वो जो runs आपको चाहिए, अगर आप वो नहीं कर पाएंगे, आप मैच हार जाएंगे. So I think that pressure was not on either of Jasprit Bumrah or even Ravindra Jadeja for that matter, or the small little contributions that we saw from Mohammad Siraj or the likes. So I think that
Yeah.
pressure is something that the more responsible and more senior batsmen need to absorb, instead of leaving it to someone lower down the order. And even in general, I guess, because we were a couple of days back, we were looking at the numbers of how the average of these three, Pujara, Kohli, and Rahane, have not been up to the mark since 2020. This is a long series. There are 4 test matches, start of a new test cycle, World Test Championship cycle. So I think that this is the right time to get all your competitive juices flowing, and try to make as much as this chance that you have on your hands. And also, Trent Bridge has been a happy hunting ground for India. So I think that if they can start 1-0, it would be a great boost. Also, one factor that we have constantly seen, that India has been developing that kind of a reputation of being the slow starters. पहला match हारने के बाद they have often try to make a comeback. That we saw in England, that we saw against Australia as well. So I think this is a good chance. They are in a great position, 9 wickets in hand, 150, 150, 157 runs to chase. I don't think it should be too difficult. And one more thing in India's favor, apart from the weather, of course, that we will continuously talk about, I think for the next 1.5 months, that is something that will be constantly on the cards, the weather. But in this particular game, because of the amount of game that we have lost, yes, technically this is the day 5, this is a day 5 track, but if you see the amount of overs that have been lost, you will probably say that the pitch is only as deteriorated as it would be, say, by the end of day 3, because probably we have had not more than 3 days, 3.5 days of cricket. Almost a day has already been lost. So it is not going to be a day 5 track on which you are chasing. Technically it's day 5, but probably what you are batting on is a day 4 track, which makes it all the more easier for the batsman to fancy the chance of their chase. So I still think this is India's game to lose. Unless they collapse, they are going to win it.
Okay. So, Pratay has, spoken about that initially as well, about them not having to collapse is the only way that they can really, have some sort of positive sign there. There's a comment coming from Changemaker talking about, thanking the entire team, in terms of giving your predictions as well as analysis, and saying that, he's very happy with the information that the both of you do give him. And, thank you for your kind words. We really appreciate it. On the other hand, Shravan has asked, and I'm guessing this is for Rakesh because you're also a cricket coach, that he would like to, work along with you and learn probably from you. So Shravan, अगर आप राकेश जी के साथ कुछ बात करना चाहते हैं या कोई टिप्स लेना चाहते हैं, तो उनके इंस्टाग्राम या फेसबुक अकाउंट पे आप उनका नाम ढूंढ सकते हैं, which is Rakesh Deva Reddy, and he'd be more than happy to connect with you, and give you the kind of guidance that you require. But on that note, before we of course wrap up for the day, in terms of what it's looking like for the next couple of matches, Rakesh, I'll come to you. What kind of a series are you expecting? It's looking pretty neck to neck. It's not like it's a one-sided competition. So, what are your predictions going forward after this test?
See, absolutely, it is going to be neck to neck because both the teams are looking strong, and both the teams have negative things in their batting lineup as well. For England, the top order is something which is really, really a severe problem for England, whereas
Yeah,
India, if the senior pros like Rahane, Pujara, Kohli, if they can just get in flow and score some 50s, 40s, if required some 70s to 100, then the problem will be solved. At the same time, the fast bowlers are also in very, very good rhythm in both the teams. Let it be India, take it Bumrah, Siraj, everybody, even Shardul for that matter. He took two wickets in both the innings. Whereas England, the two fast bowlers, Broad, Anderson, and Robinson, just that Sam Curran is not up to the mark. But both the teams are really looking strong. But you never know, anything can happen. Any changes might also take place. Giving rest is also an option because
important. Yeah.
you're going to play 5 test matches. So let's see how it goes. But it is going to be a very, very competitive series. But let's see who is going to win the series as well. It's a long time, long way because this is just the
Long way
first.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's obviously interesting because with the way, Rakesh has also spoken, because if, a couple of them have to be rested because it's such a long series, it'll be interesting to see who will come in and know what they'll bring to the game. And when it is obviously neck to neck, the competition just becomes all the more interesting. Pratay, would you like to add any, give any of your inputs in terms of what you're expecting from the really long series?
Yes, definitely. See, apart from whatever points Rakesh mentioned, all of them pretty correct. Another point, apart from rest, is you will also have to be prepared for some injuries because they can happen. They have even happened before the start of the series. You have lost Shubman Gill, lost England does not already have Jofra Archer because of that, and now he has been even ruled out of the entire year. Mayank Agrawal is I don't know if he would be able to come back, and when, if that happens, when will that happen exactly? Perhaps in the next couple of tests, if it's not too serious an injury, a concussion, he might be back as well. So I think that injuries is something that needs to be kept an eye on as well, because in these long series, we saw in Australia what happened, and that can happen here as well. As far as is the series, see, India, England, two top sides, so you will expect competition in this game as well. I think that this is more of a game where more than batting, apart from the century, a couple of knocks that we saw from KL Rahul, and in the first innings that is 84, and Joe Root's brilliant century in the previous innings. Apart from that, this game has been more dominated, I guess, by the bowlers, because we have not seen something like 350, 400 kind of a score being put up, and bowlers have been making the ball talk. So I think that what
Yeah.
India would be really pleased with is the fact that Jasprit Bumrah has gotten back into his rhythm. getting 9 wickets and going forward from here, that is a huge positive. England will have a
Right.
few things that they will have to work upon, because if this is the trend that continues, Dom Sibley, Rory Burns, Zach Rowley up the order, not contributing, and then adding on that burden on Joe Root, then I think that India will have a lot of chance to clinch the series.
Right. Now, if that is going to happen or not, only time will tell. But with the way, of course, Pratyay has put that in a nutshell, that, in terms of how Bumrah has, come around after that performance in the World Test Championship final, also to be looking at what kind of, how are they going to be rectifying all those mistakes that they made in the first innings? Because at the end of the day, even there is expectations from a Pujara, Rahane, or a Kohli for that matter, or even Pant, to be kind of, lifting the spirits this time around for Team India. So will they be able to manage that and follow through successfully? We will have to wait and watch. But on that note, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you to our experts as well. But we will be seeing you on the other side for the post-match analysis. So don't forget to join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. Until then, of course, stay tuned to CricTracker for the latest news in the world of cricket.